I think we're in the middle of something that's just a little more subtle than an education crisis. I think we might be in a curiosity crisis. And I know that sounds dramatic, but I really don't mean in a very academic way. I mean in a very everyday way. Like, how often do we actually explore things anymore? Not just consuming them, not just seeing them, but actually going deeper, bringing back substance, depth, and character to why we love, share, and buy products. As someone who absolutely loves all things beauty, wellness, thrift, and vintage fashion, and most importantly, culturally rich experiences, I was craving
finger licking good special.
Something that felt like the cross between a Substack article and a traditional YouTube video. So I created it. Welcome back to the Mac Edit. My name is M.A.C. I think a lot of us, right, are assuming, and we know the quote about what assumptions do. We're assuming that we're learning all the time, right? We're constantly watching something, saving something, scrolling something, building up this like digital archival. Really, we should call it a digital graveyard, because when is the last time you went back to so many of those saved posts? But I've been wondering lately about a much simpler question. Have we stopped being curious about our own lives? We didn't always learn like this. While I have so many thoughts about the current state of education here in America, I think we need less thoughts and more action. Curiosity was survival before it was even intellectual. So that really means learning wasn't meant to feel distant. It wasn't meant to feel gatekept behind, obviously, these formal paywalls and systems that they are in now. Curiosity was meant to feel lived in. It was meant to feel a part of your everyday life structure. And I don't think people stop being interested in the world. We can see that. The Google searches are up. People are in chat asking them all kinds of questions. People are still curious. I think we just changed the way we interact with the information. Now everything is clips, it's summaries, it's the spark notes, it's the headlines, the viral moment, it's the hot takes, it's the reaction videos, boom, 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 pow, pow, pow. We basically moved from starting with curiosity to starting with the conclusion. We already have the answer, but we don't understand that middle part. Here we go. Say it with me. The context, the nuance, the understanding in between, okay? This is the part that we're missing. We know a little bit about everything and very little about anything all at the same time. Because let's be very honest, to be very honest with you, algorithms reward consistency. That's why when you post on your Instagram or you post on TikTok randomly and overnight, you're like, why aren't I a viral sensation? But curiosity, on the other hand, rewards uncertainty. There's endless amounts of curiosity when there's endless amounts of uncertainty. Algorithm rewards speed, muy rápido. But curiosity, you have to have an immense amount of patience that I personally was not born with. Okay, I have to work on it. I wasn't born with the amount of patience. That is not what God instilled in me. Algorithms reward answers. Like, you better come correct with the answer. But curiosity starts with the questions. And I think that's why so many people feel so disconnected, especially when you spend an absorbent amount of time online, chronically online, like myself. Learning isn't supposed to feel like scrolling. It's supposed to feel like discovery, right? You're discovering new things. But every time we're encountering something on our phone, on our TVs, this is that and the third, boop to the bop, we are seeing the end result. There's a hard wall. There's nowhere to go. Or is there? Like, let's talk about music for a second. I love music, but I think music is a great example of where this clear shift has gone left to right, boop to the bop, right? I don't think we stopped loving music. The people love music. Music is still in our hearts, in our bones. It's in the way we celebrate. It's in the way we, cry, laugh, express ourselves. Music is still very much a part of the core of our curiosity and of our intellectual fabric of society, right? Music shows a snapshot in time. So if it shows us a snapshot in time, let's take it back, right? We don't really sit with that music the same as we used to. Of course, because now there's streaming services. We don't necessarily have to put things on a record player, on a CD. We don't have to go on LimeWire and give our computer viruses. We don't have to go through all the hoops and the jumps just to get one album. We can have 15 albums in 15 seconds.
This new service.
What?
Jay-Z's new streaming service.
That's my shit.
Now it's like 15-second, 30-second snippets, hooks, trends, very quick sounds. I think something we can all objectively agree on is the Take Care album by Drake.
Drake? Drake?
Now, I know he did get absolutely murked by Kendrick.
Drake? Aubrey?
There's no debating that. But I think we can take a step back. Let's take a step back and remember that Take Care by Drake was the album, is probably, and is, we can debate about it in the comments, Drake's best album ever. It was one of the most influential albums of that era. Not Manish on the Beat, Shebang, All of My Ops, not any of that, okay? I don't know what those 3 albums were. We're saying that he was trying to get out of the contract, whatever. There's a lot of conspiracy theories on that end. we'll take the tinfoil hat off for a second and we'll just focus on the Take Care album, right? You know, that little shebang, I could bump that. But the rest of the 3 albums, he was just putting out whatever. It was a high volume of music, but not necessarily the same quality as the Take Care album. The Take Care album was a masterpiece. Absolute cinema, but not because it was the most viral. I mean, it was, if there was a sense of virality at that time, I'm pretty sure it would be viral, but because it felt like its own world. And also, if you really bumped that album, which literally everyone bumped that album, okay, the young and the old, you remember that era, those songs and those moments, they really bring you back to a place and to a space. You listen to the album front to back to front, up, down, left, and right, okay? You knew the deep cuts, you knew the words, you knew the melody. You knew every time he was going to put, you know, somebody's little voicemail message in the beginning. You knew the beats right at the front. You were like, oh. You understand the emotional arc throughout the whole story that he was telling on the album. It stayed with you. You stayed with it. You and this album had a moment. And if I'm just talking to myself, fine, so be it. Me and this album had a moment. But I'm pretty sure it resonated with most of us. You remember the high school boyfriend that you had heartbreak over? All right, enough of that. This is when the YMCMB, Young Money, Cash Money, you know, era was in full swing. This is when Nicki Minaj, before she like absolutely lost her mind and all of us young New York girls were literally losing our mind to be Barbs. This was in that era, okay? It was a time you just had to be there. You had to be there. 2011, My President Was Black, Keep Calm and Carry On posters were absolutely everywhere. The best lip oil, lip combo, lip product was Baby Lips. Okay, absolute masterpiece. You collected them like gemstones. You had them in every color. And last but not least, for my makeup girlies, this was the dawn of the Urban Decay naked palette craze that revolutionized, you know, the makeup industry. Honestly, truly, honestly, and truly, rest in peace, forever in our hearts. Again, you had to be there. Girls don't do makeup palettes like that anymore. They just don't. And all that came to me as I was listening to the Take Care album. I listened to it to prep to record this video because I had to be in the 2011 headspace. You know what I'm saying? That level of nostalgia. And that's a different level and taste and just overall vibe of how we consume music now. There's like very few albums over the past couple of years that I can remember listening to front to back to front, okay? There's very few of those, and I barely remember the name and the context of a full song because I'm chronically online. I have 5 different vocal stems, 5 different snippets of songs going on in my head at any one time. I'm like Manish on the beat, shebang. Moral of the story is this emotion party, you cannot get in. Don Julio, I don't drink gin. Chain like a slushy. Okay, maybe I do know that song, but that's neither here nor there, okay? There are 5 different snippets, little clips of songs, you know, scuba in my head going at any one time, and I'm like, wow, full send on the brain rot. Full send on the brain rot. It really is the science behind it, because in 2025, pop, hip-hop, R&B, these genres of music, the average song time is between 2 minutes and 30 seconds and 3 minutes. These genres especially keep things tight, consumable, and really maximize for streaming algorithm success. Now, back in 2011, back in the day, I feel like my mom, I feel like the, you know, people we used to grow up with, they'd be like, yo, back in the day. Now I'm saying back in the day. Same genres average over 4-minute songs, and we would listen to those songs bar for bar, end to end. Maybe it was because there was a whole crew of people. There was like 5 to 6 different rappers, singers, artists on one song at one time. And they would give you whole albums with this many people on it. And then you would spend the time, this was good quality time, debating who had the best verse on the song. Now, non-existent. But it's not all lost. The art is not lost, okay? We're here. We're going to keep it alive. And I think curiosity changes that. Curiosity asks, who produced this? Who inspired it? What is the story that they're trying to tell through the music, rather than just, you know, a little teeny bop. You really look at the melodies, the rhythms, the harmonies, the tension, the release. Music isn't just the sound, right? It's the structure, it's the emotion, the engineering. And this is why we used to have such record label powerhouses such as Def Jam, Motown, and no diddler, Bad Boy. The songs we love and hold so dear to our hearts are not just by happenstance, they are architecture. And remembering that more curiosity truthfully existed before these formal systems, before the degrees, the diplomas, the classrooms, before textbooks, books where you had to like sign your name in the front of the book and then you saw who had the book before you last year. I'm aging myself, right? Before Scantrons, before wheeling the TV on the cart into the classroom, before running the mile in gym class, before iPads, Leapfrog, and Miss Rachel, and before dismantling the Department of Education, people learned through storytelling, through crafts, through artistry, through observation, and honestly through straight up necessity, through survival. Like, we would not be standing here or have the things that we have if there weren't civilizations and people in our own generations that didn't ask curious questions like Curious George had asked. How do we build this better? How do we understand something better? Or how do we fix something that is right in front of us? On our dream bucket list and our travel destinations, our Pinterest board where we're like, okay, we're going to go stand next to the Eiffel Tower. We're going to go to the Great Wall of China, like all these different things, the 7 wonders of the world, you know? But we can't lose the wonder in the 7 wonders of the world, right? What makes it so wonderful? And even more importantly, we can't lose the wonder about ourselves. Ancient Greeks used the word themata, which basically translates to wonders or marvels. However, they slightly use this word to interchange with like things to be seen, right? So that's where we get the 7 wonders of the world from. It wasn't just hopping on the Spirit Airlines, rest in peace, and then flying down to South Beach to teeny bop on, Biscayne Boulevard, right? It was to go see these things, the awe, the wonder, and to really study them because they were so marvelous. It wasn't just a poetic tribute or a eat, pray, love kind of moment. It was a true appreciation, ultimate travel bucket list kind of situation. Where the wonder comes from and how we can bring this back into our own life is the awestruck, okay? The awestruckness. We're becoming so numb almost to all the beauty, the wonder, the awe, the innovation that we have in our society just because things flip around so quickly. The 7 wonders of the world had such engineering shock, where the wonder came from absolute awe at how humans could build such massive structures without modern technology. And then the 7 wonders of the world had this supernatural sense or quality about them. Something that you felt in your spirit, but you couldn't quite touch, hold, or understand why you felt such a deep connection to these large structures. The scale of these monuments was so immense that ancient writers often joked that they must have built by giants or gods and not by ordinary humans. And then really you're looking at the power of the scale of these wonders. Standing next to a 100-foot bronze statue, which is like the Colossus of Rhodes, or a 450-foot stone tomb, okay? Great Pyramids cause a profound psychological feeling of being small, which is really the definition of wonder. And crazy enough, like just crazy enough, because this concept is not something we hold so true today, the concept of curiosity is to make yourself feel small, and not in a, demeaning kind of way, but to really zoom out, if you will. Now online, the whole purpose is to make yourself bigger. And why does this matter, right? Is this going to help fix our educational problem? Why people can't say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? Kids can't read the word mischievous. Like, obviously, curiosity alone is not going to cure the education gap. But stay with me now. Fashion is architecture and art for the body, okay? You put this on and it is telling a story. It is telling curiosity. It's telling a picture about not only you, but how you view yourself, how you view the world. And you're like, is it really that deep because I'm just putting on my t-shirt and jeans? Yeah. It is. On the Mac edit, it really is that deep. And I would say my first experience with curiosity around personal style would be, you guessed it, thrifting. It wasn't at Justice, it wasn't at Limited 2, it wasn't at Aeropostale, it wasn't at Jimmy Jazz, it wasn't at, it wasn't at Rainbow, it wasn't at Zara, it wasn't at H&M, it wasn't at Forever 21, rest in peace. Like, all those places are great, wonderful, amazing. They all have a time and a place and are part of the fabric of literally my life, my clothes, and how I dress. However, I would not be where I am, I feel like, in my personal style if I didn't find such value in thrifting. Because thrifting forces you to slow it down. We know we like to slow it down around here. Slow it down. And really you had to slow it down because we didn't have any money. So you can't like run through a thrift store and just like pick out a bunch of stuff if you didn't have the money. It was about picking out the necessities, okay? The necessities. You had to stop and ask yourself questions in the thrift store. How many wears is this going to get me? Is this actually suitable for what I need to do? Like going to class, going to school, doing what I need to do, running around the playground, like whatever a child actually needs, especially parents, I'm sure you understand. When you're getting clothes, yes, definitely you're getting the cutesy outfits to post a little picture to send to grandma. However, kids are going to grow out of outfits so soon and all the things. It's really about functionality. I remember my mom would sit me down in that back to school season, okay, when it was time to break out one of two things. One was the JCPenney catalog, so I could circle the items that I needed to place my order for so that they would be here in a couple weeks. And those are the necessities, the Fruit of the Looms, the little tank tops, the necessities, right? The things that you were not getting at the thrift store. And then the more frivolous pieces, I would say, the more like styling, fashionable pieces, or things that she was like, girl, you're about to grow out of this in 5 seconds. That's when she would take me to a thrift and be like, all right, you're not about to run up through here and get whatever, but let's focus on having fun and finding the items that you like, right? And then later, we got a little more coin. That's when you moved into the Justices, the Limited Twos, okay? And then you moved in. What happened to tween stores? What happened to the tween girly bop stores? Now that I'm thinking about it, you can even see that. Why did the tween girly bop stores go away? The Forever 21s. We used to have stores for stages in your life. Now everything is just all meshed into one because we all are meshed into one trend. And now, as like an avid thrifter for fun, I get the privilege to ask the privileged questions. What is this made out of? Where did it come from? How does this fabric feel on my skin, right? Those are not things that I would maybe stop to do before because it was out of necessity, but now I get to do it out of more of a luxury. And when you contrast that kind of shopping experience with the more fast fashion shopping experience, everything becomes fast, new, what's on trend, and very disposable. We've never had more clothes and somehow know less about them, and also constantly are like, I have nothing to wear. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Since we're on a nostalgic tip today, I think it's worth bringing up 2015, 2016 core, right? Of the fashion era. This is like, I feel like peak fast fashion era, in my mind at least, because this is very like college. If you were in college in 2015, 2016, somewhere in that time or before or around, it was an era you just had to be there, right? But this was definitely coinciding with the rise of fast fashion. You needed a new outfit for your party this weekend. You needed a new outfit for the yard show, the step show that was happening that weekend. You needed something cute to go study in the library with somebody who is, someone who's cute. You needed a new outfit for the tailgate. It was just like the list was endless. You found every reason to need a new outfit because there was just so much going on, which was great. I loved it. Great era. Wouldn't replace it for the world. However, this feeds into the fast fashion narrative. And slowly we kind of just never grow out of that if you have that traditional kind of like university experience, because fast fashion is packaged differently over different eras and different consumer levels. Now, I'm not saying it's all bad. I love a Zara, I love a H&M. Okay, I'm not above it. I'm not above it. Is it the best? No, but I'm not above it, right? I'm not going to claim that my hands are clean of the fast fashion, okay? Me and you, we get it. Try our best. That's what we can ask. But imagine there was a time where we better understood fabrics, sewing techniques, textures, silhouettes, construction, repair. And not only do we see this with the rise and fall of different stores that we used to know and love, but also with the overall downfall of just like the American mall in general. Because who needs a mall, or who has the time to go walk through and peruse the stores all day when you can just boom, click, boom, click, boom, click. But I think even the fashion aspect of it shows you that curiosity and having access to information doesn't inherently make you smarter or doesn't inherently make you more stylish just because you can easily get to the clothes, but curiosity does make you less impressionable and more refined. Now, it wouldn't be a Mac edit if I didn't put you on game, if I didn't share a little bit of tea, if I don't share a little bit of knowledge, because of course you're like, Nia, I don't have these thrift stores near me, okay? Send me the websites. Send me the websites. I need something a little bit more straight to my door. Don't worry, I got you. And these are some of my favorite brands that I like to shop when you're looking for a piece, when you're looking for something that's, not normal that you can just like pick up on trend around the way, your normal stores, right? But this is if you're looking for a special occasion dress, if you're looking for a little piece, a little showstopper piece for something that is a little bit elevated, and you're like, yeah, you're coming home with me. So one of my favorite places, I would say, especially for vacation wear, especially for summer pieces, for something bright, statement pieces, great silhouettes, and great quality materials, is Farm Rio. If you haven't heard this brand, it's a Brazilian brand, I believe, and they make such gorgeous pieces and dresses, and the quality of it is insane. Now, don't come for me. I didn't make the prices, but I will say it is worth the splurge. Absolutely worth the splurge, absolutely worth the spend. If you're getting ready for a vacation and you need a swimsuit that is going to be tea, like, thong-kini period, Monday swimwear. I know it's summertime, we're getting ready to go, and and a bikini body is everybody. And this brand I love for very classic, like silky silhouette pieces. It's called Shauna Joy. Now this brand does run a little small. That is my beef. Okay, that is my beef. It does run a little small because it's from Australia. I don't know, is there anyone on here watching from Australia? Why is everything so small? We're a little bit more, fuller sized over here. in the Americas, make those damn sizes a lot bigger. But Shauna Joy has really great dresses, especially wedding guest dresses, things like that. A nice date night dress that you want to slide on and feel very simple, chic, and just cool. I love it, and they have great, amazing quality. Another brand is Ajay. Beautiful statement dresses. Beautiful, amazing statement dresses. And I'm pretty sure these are more like made to order, handmade pieces. So the quality is absolutely insane. But these are the dresses that you walk in and someone's like, where did you get that? It's like a show-stopping piece that you're going to have in your closet for years to come. Now, honorable, more everyday mentions, Anthropologie has a really great range of selection for more diverse pieces if you don't just want something simple or basic. And the basics are great because you need to have those in your closet in order to build that staple core wardrobe. If you're looking for more statement core wardrobe pieces, I really enjoy Frame Clothing. They have awesome denim, very nice like button downs, pieces. It's very modern, chic, sleek, but really good quality clothes. So those are just a few little things. Don't say I didn't try to put you on. Don't say I didn't try to put you on, so you can actually get things that, you know, you may really enjoy. Even when you're online shopping, don't forget to feel curious and also leave space and time before you hit place order. Okay, maybe add things to the cart, sleep on it, and if you still come back a few days later and you still like it, love it, okay, then maybe get it. But I would definitely encourage, be curious even when you are online shopping, because you know, and one place I notice is the most is definitely in like the beauty, wellness, fitness industry, because these are industries built around advice on what to wear, what to eat, what to exercise, products to buy, what routines to follow. And again, guilty as charged. I love it. If you like it, I love it, as long as we're not harming anybody. But I do love consuming that content and also creating that content, but I'm also very conscious of the curiosity aspect that still has to remain in it, because that advice can be so lovely, so helpful. As we know, it just breaks down so many barriers when people are knowledge sharing. I've learned so much from other people, some of my favorite creators, right? But somewhere along the line, I think we stopped being students of the game and just simply fell into followers. We started outsourcing our own curiosity and expecting other people to do it for us. Por ejemplo, let's go open up our makeup drawer, our beauty cabinet, our, drawers in our bathroom. How many of those products you got because someone told you to buy? You didn't actually look into the product yourself to see if it might be good for you. Now, product recs are great. I'm going to give them, I love them, right? But you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to me, because what worked for me may not work for you, and I want to be honest about that. But you also have to do your due diligence. I'm hoping you do your due diligence to look into the things that even I'm recommending to you. So I want us to be better about being curious consumers. Not only conscious consumers, but curious consumers. Or even if something does work, understand better why it did work. I think that's why, even when I talked about in my previous video, my severe struggle with acne, where I've gotten to with my skincare routine now, I really looked into, okay, why did the products that worked, or what is the routine that I'm doing right now, and really reflecting on what's working. Now, that's not going to remain true for all seasons of your life, because hormones change, things change, things change. But you really want to have a better understanding of why it worked, what's working, and do that deeper level analysis, because that's going to drive you closer to success in your beauty routine, in your fitness routine, in your career, in so many things, if you really just understand better why things work. I think one of the coolest things that beauty has taught me wasn't necessarily just how to do your makeup right. That's cool. But it's how to observe, like your undertones, your shadows, your color theory, your contrast, your face shape, your features. And it helps you appreciate all of those things so much more when you stop and look and appreciate it, rather than just comparing it to somebody else so quickly. And then suddenly, boom, 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 it becomes less about copy paste and more about intrigue of your own interests and understanding. And once you understand something, you become far less dependent on the trends themselves. You can observe them without necessarily consuming everything in the trend. Now, fitness did the same thing. I used to do personal training, used to be a Pilates instructor, and now I just more so focus on my own personal fitness. But for me, I love understanding how the body works, whether that be through strength training, Pilates, stretching a little bit, un poquito. And most people think fitness is just about a workout plan, about build your glutes in 30 days, how to have abs in 50 seconds, whatever. All those things are great, but that's not the entire picture when it comes to fitness. And I was there. We all have to start somewhere, especially on a fitness journey. But eventually you have to tap into the interesting questions of curiosity and say, why does this work? What is recovery? What is progressive overload? What's actually happening inside my body when I train? Why do I feel these feel-good endorphins, these juices?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
after I've trained. Because honestly, if you look at it truly, once curiosity becomes more a part of the conversation, it becomes less about like punishing yourself and feeling like I have to do this, and you get to move to I get to do this, and just partnering with your body for a better cause. You're no longer fighting your body, you're learning it. And trust me, it loves when you learn it. And tangentially, the wellness industry loves to have the answer for you. I've taken wonderful, amazing things from different supplements, from different routines, and pieced them together to make your own. Because as someone who loves, again, I love these kinds of content, but you also just have to have a more mature and discerning lens when you're doing it. Because people who have great wellness routines, or if you see someone like, later in life and you're like, girl, you look good, what are you doing? They're just so curious. They're such curious people about their body, about their lifestyle, about the world around them. The most interesting people are curious. They have a lot to talk about because they've learned a lot, they've experienced a lot, they can tell you a great story, not just reference videos that they've seen online. When it comes to wellness, you can understand better how your body responds to things, how are you sleeping, you can be really in tune and in touch. Like, I know when I'm stressed out. My last video, I was talking about the importance of rest. The next day or two after I woke up from posting that video, my body was like, hey, you need to sit your ass down. You need to sit your ass down. So what did I do? I need to sit it down. Okay, I woke up, my throat was a little, okay, it was little, but my body was literally signaling, hey, you've been doing too much. Let's sit it back down for a second. You can really understand that when you're curious about yourself, because you're asking questions like, why do I feel this way? Am I not sleeping good? This, that, and the third. Now, don't spiral yourself into some health anxiety, and that's easier said than done. But curiosity is not the same as anxiousness. It's about what works for me and not what works for on the internet. I think that's the pattern I'm noticing across all of my favorite niches, if you will. Music, fitness, wellness, fashion, beauty. I love it. But curiosity turns you into a consumer rather than just a participant. When you stop asking questions, you become solely dependent on other people's answers. And maybe that's why curiosity feels so powerful. So powerful. Like, pull the lever, Kronk.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
Because it doesn't just teach you about the world, it teaches you about yourself. And I think one of the best ways to explore books, I love a good book, especially when it comes to a really great book, is that the book isn't really answering a question, it's showing you a new perspective. It's giving you a better one. These are a few books that told me to expand my world, not just like what to think, but I love these books because they gave me like a new question to carry around, if you will, a fresh perspective. The first book is The Road to Character by David Brooks. The question here, the core question of this book is, who am I becoming? And I would say this is one of my favorite books in the last few years. I definitely recommend it all the time, is because The Road to Character is less concerned about what you've achieved and more concerned with who you're becoming underneath those achievements. It explores the difference between building a resume and building character. And in a world that constantly asks us, like, what have you accomplished? What have you done? This book asks a much more uncomfortable question and important question. Who are you when nobody is clapping for you? Okay. And we know that when you're curious about yourself, you can get to the answer. Next book, this was one of my favorite summer reads last year, Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. What came before me? This one's a deep one for me. Good Dirt reminded me that curiosity isn't always about learning something new. Sometimes you got to go back. Sometimes you got to understand what you already have there and the history behind it. It's heart. It's a story about family, inheritance, memory, and the ways we carry around these objects in history through generations and what they have meaning and character behind, no pun intended. It made me think so much about who we are and who's connected to us and the stories that existed long before we arrived. Curiosity definitely digs up lineage, history, and context. But as someone who's adopted curiosity about your history, your family lineage, all of those things, trust me, it's nuanced, it's complicated. It's difficult. It's a really important question that you may have to do a lot of digging, grieving, learning, setting new boundaries to really explore and tap into the next version of yourself. Then when you get to the next version of yourself, you're asking, okay, what am I noticing? And the perfect book for this is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. I've already plugged this book before because it's been one of my recent books that I keep coming back to, and The Creative Act is probably one of the most beautiful books I've read on creativity. Not because it teaches you how to be creative, that's just not possible, but it refreshes creativity in a way of paying attention to things. And of course, in Rick Rubin's like very signature style, he has a central argument that creativity isn't reserved just for artists, and curiosity has to start there. Now, once you've asked, who am I becoming, Michelle Obama version, what came before me, what am I learning, how am I creative, you really have to stop and ask, now, how do we connect with others? It's not all about us. I'm sorry to break it to you. I know online everything seems like me, mine, but we need to connect with others. All About Love by Bell Hooks, absolute classic, challenged the way I thought about love. Not romantic love specifically, but love as a practice, a choice, a way of showing up for other people. And what makes this book so powerful is that Bell Hooks spends a lot of time explaining and examining the beliefs we've inherited and, asks us about love. It's a book that invites you to become more curious about your relationships, your upbringing, and the stories that you've accepted as truth. Now, after all of this, I say all of this to say, I say all of this to say. The music, the fashion, the books, the wellness conversation, I realized something. Curiosity is not a hobby, okay? Hobbies are wonderful, and you need to have those. Curiosity is a way of thinking, a way to view your life. It's a way of paying attention. And the people who I know who are the richest, and that could be rich in so many things, not just monetarily, don't necessarily know the most, but they're curious about the most. They're just interested in more things. They follow questions, they notice connections. They just become so interesting. You have to allow yourself to go down a rabbit hole, maybe not too much, maybe stay off the Reddit threads. You have to go down a rabbit hole with maybe some trusted resources, right? And over time, curiosity is less of like a life skill and more of just a perspective shift. So instead of giving you yet another 30-day, 45-day challenge, habits of the richest person on the planet Earth, I thought I'd share with you how I've been thinking about things lately. And I think that's coming across. A way of looking at things, if you will, that feels like you're doing your own M.A.C edit. First, I always start with the meaning. Start with what already pulls your attention naturally and that you find so interesting and beautiful. Maybe even something that rubs you the absolute wrong way. Not just what sounds impressive, not what you think you should be interested in, but what actually makes you curious. So maybe that's fashion, maybe it's architecture, maybe it's fragrance, gardening, basketball. Let's go Knicks. Curiosity tends to leave clues, like little breadcrumbs trail. Follow it. And after you find the meaning, you found what, you feel curiously interested about, then you're going to move into asking. You're going to start asking questions, and somebody's got to have some answers. You're going to ask one more question, then you're going to ask another question, and then you're going to ask another question. That's it. It's really that simple. Why was it made this way? Who influenced this? Who created it? How did they make it? Where is it going? Because I've found, especially as you're curious about yourself, you're curious about the world, it's rarely like these big, grand revelations. Love those. Great. Amen. However, it really is the little tiny things that start to add up and give you this wealth of knowledge. It's almost like when you're watching Jeopardy and you're like, how does anyone even know that? Like, why do you know? Like, why do you know that? Because they were curious. You're going to connect. You're going to bring it all together. We're going to bring it all together. And this is where the idea gets really elevated. And it really then becomes about the relationship between things, not just the one thing itself. You're not hyper fixating on one idea. You're understanding how the world and the connection comes together. Fashion becomes history, art becomes culture, music becomes anthropology, fitness becomes psychology, travel becomes empathy and worldview. The world gets way more interesting when we stop viewing subjects as separate from the world. So we need to stop collecting information and start seeing information and people and connection and really change the way that we have our perspective. Because I think we would really be doing a disservice, especially in the rise of all these new technological innovations, if we had all of this information. We have access to all this information and yet still know nothing. And really look for meaning and character in places that we don't normally, think to stop and go deeper into. And I think at my big, wonderful, young, fresh, hot age, you know what I'm saying? You reach a point in adulthood where achievement definitely stops feeling like enough. You get the job, you get the car, you move to the city, you do this, the boop, the bop, you have the kids, whatever you want to do. Whatever your milestones and achievements are, you get to those achievements and you realize it's not enough. You suddenly don't feel fulfilled. You're running around having a quarter life crisis every couple of years. It's like boom, 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 right? Okay, you've done it all. You're cool. You're great. We love that for you, right? And then a different question starts to surface. It starts to bubble up out of you. Hello? You're like, what have I done? What have I done? But the core of the question is, who am I becoming underneath all the things? Because a meaningful life truly is not just through accomplishments. It's built through expansion, through love, through connection, through ideas, through curiosity, staying interested, staying locked in. Staying locked in doesn't just mean blindly going ahead and doing routines. It means going through life intentionally. Lock in on intentionality and curiosity, okay? Instead of locking in on, a greens powder that you have no idea what it's even doing. And I think the sexiest people are the most curious. Genuinely curious. Not nosy, not in your business. Curious about the world, okay? Not curious about other people. And that's why you so damn nosy and gossiping about other people and curious about what other people are doing, because you don't have enough interests, hobbies, and curiosity in your own life to fulfill that time. You got time to worry about other people and what they're doing. It means you're bored. It means you're bored. You're bored. So stop being boring, be hot, be curious. And it doesn't mean you're smarter than everybody else. Trust me. I'm smart enough to know that I know what I know right now, but I also don't know what I don't know, and that I'm willing to learn. But I think what makes me and you super hot, super curious is if we expand our worldview, if we see things as bigger. And maybe, just maybe, the goal isn't to know everything. It's to stay interested long enough that life never stops teaching you things, truly. And you have too much meaning and character to stop being curious. So, I love you so much. Catch you on the next Back at It. Bye.